For decades, the very phrase Swiss bank account has conjured images of unimaginable wealth, shadowy dealings, and an almost mythical level of discretion. It's the financial equivalent of a superhero's secret lair. Except instead of a bat cave, it's a very plush, very secure vault nestled somewhere picturesque. Switzerland, a nation famed for its neutrality, chocolate, and an almost unsettling punctuality, also carved out a niche as the world's preferred piggy bank for those with something to hide. This reputation wasn't accidental. It was meticulously built over centuries, cemented in law, and at times greased by the unsavory fortunes of the global elite, and yes, even villains straight out of a spy film. The country manages a staggering CHF, 7.9 trillion in assets, nearly half of which comes from clients abroad, making it a titan in global finance. The historical bedrock of this secrecy is remarkably old, stretching back to 1713 in Geneva. It was then that the city's council prohibited bankers from revealing client information, laying the groundwork for a tradition that would become a national hallmark. Think about that. While other nations were squabbling over empires and engaging in rather public displays of power, the Swiss were quietly perfecting the art of keeping Sturm. This long-standing custom wasn't just a polite agreement amongst bankers. It was a deliberate economic strategy. It attracted capital from politically turbulent European states, offering a safe haven for assets when monarchs were being toppled or wars were raging. This created a unique selling proposition. Your money is safe with us, and so is your identity. The pivotal moment, however, arrived much later with the Federal Act on Banks and Savings Banks of 1934. This piece of legislation didn't just codify existing practices, it weaponized them. It made it a criminal offense for bank employees or anyone privy to banking information to disclose client details. Breaking this vow of silence could land you in prison for up to 5 years, accompanied by a hefty fine of up to CHF 250,000. This wasn't merely about protecting privacy. It was a direct response to attempts by foreign governments, particularly France and Nazi Germany, to pry into the accounts of their citizens who were stashing wealth across the border to evade taxes or persecution. It effectively told the world, our lips are sealed, legally and forcefully. This robust legal shield proved particularly useful and controversial during the Second World War. While much of Europe was engulfed in conflict, neutral Switzerland became a financial crossroads. Unfortunately, this neutrality extended to financial dealings with the Nazi regime. Swiss banks were implicated in handling and laundering Nazi gold assets looted from conquered nations and Jewish victims of the Holocaust. Astonishingly, reports even surfaced in the 1990s of an account at UBS, one of Switzerland's banking giants belonging to Adolf Hitler himself, allegedly holding over 1 billion Reichsmarks. This dark chapter highlights how the impenetrable wall of secrecy could, and did, serve profoundly unethical ends, protecting not just legitimate assets, but also the proceeds of unimaginable atrocities. Switzerland's rise as a premier destination for discreet financial dealings wasn't just built on a historical handshake or a single law. It was, and to some extent still is, underpinned by a sophisticated ecosystem designed to obscure the origins and ownership of wealth. One of the most iconic tools in this arsenal was the famed numbered account. Instead of a client's name, the account was identified primarily by a number or a code name. Think of whimsical monikers like Octopussy or Cello, which sound more like Bond villain operations than banking details. While the bank itself would know the true identity of the account holder, this system added a significant layer of anonymity, making it far more challenging for prying eyes, including tax authorities and law enforcement from other countries, to connect the dots. Beyond the allure of a secret code name, the Swiss system offered, and its associated industries perfected, the use of complex offshore structures. These are not your garden variety savings accounts. We're talking about shell companies, often registered in jurisdictions with even laxer transparency rules, trusts managed by intermediaries, and intricate proxy arrangements. These financial mazes are specifically designed to make tracing the beneficial owner, the actual person who owns and benefits from the assets, an incredibly arduous, if not impossible, task. Lawyers and financial intermediaries in Switzerland have often played a key role in setting up these opaque structures, sometimes benefiting from exemptions in anti-money laundering regulations. which means their role as facilitators can go largely unchecked. Then there's the rather James Bond-esque reality of physical storage. For those whose assets weren't just digital entries on a ledger, Switzerland offered, and continues to offer, high-security vaults, some ingeniously repurposed from former military bunkers deep within the Swiss Alps. These subterranean fortresses aren't just for storing sensitive documents. They are used to hoard high-value physical assets like gold bullion, diamonds, and priceless works of art. Imagine a villain from a film stroking a white cat while discussing the transfer of gold bars stored deep beneath a mountain. It's less fiction and more Tuesday afternoon for some of these facilities. This adds another dimension to asset protection, moving beyond mere financial secrecy into physical impenetrability. A crucial element that historically bolstered Switzerland's appeal to tax evaders was its legal distinction between tax evasion and tax fraud. For a long time, simple tax evasion, failing to declare income or assets, was treated as a civil offense, not a criminal one. Tax fraud, which involved actively forging documents or engaging in deceitful schemes, was criminal. This distinction was critical because Swiss banks would typically only cooperate with foreign authorities and share client information if there was evidence of a crime recognized as such under Swiss law. Since mere tax evasion wasn't a crime in the same way, foreign governments struggling with citizens hiding untaxed income in Switzerland often found their requests for information hitting a legal brick wall unless they could prove outright fraud. The robust secrecy offered by Swiss banks, combined with the nation's political stability and strong legal protections for assets, inevitably made it an irresistible magnet for individuals looking to squirrel away fortunes acquired through less than honorable means. The client list, if it were ever fully publicized, would read like a who's who of corrupt dictators, notorious arms dealers, mafia kingpins, and tax-dodging oligarchs. These weren't just wealthy individuals seeking privacy. Many were actively plundering their own nations or engaging in serious criminal enterprises, and Swiss vaults provided the perfect, discreet repository for their ill-gotten gains, far from the reach of their own justice systems or a prying international community. Consider the case of Mobutu Sese Seko, the longtime dictator of Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo. He systematically embezzled an estimated $30 billion from his impoverished nation, a significant portion of which was reportedly channeled through Swiss bank accounts. While his people suffered, Mobutu's wealth, allegedly stashed in the neutral haven of Switzerland, was kept safe and sound. Similarly, Sani Abacha, the former military ruler of Nigeria, is believed to have hidden over $1 billion in Swiss banks. Despite years of legal wrangling and international pressure, only a fraction of this looted wealth has ever been successfully recovered and returned to the Nigerian people, highlighting the immense difficulty in clawing back assets once they enter the Swiss financial labyrinth. The list of dubious clientele extends further. Jean-Claude Baby Doc Duvalier, Haiti's former dictator, was linked to Swiss accounts holding around $300 million. Funds allegedly pilfered from one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere. Even organized crime figures saw the appeal. Meyer Lansky, a notorious American mafia financial wizard, utilized the Swiss financial system to launder money for organized crime syndicates. These examples are not isolated incidents. They represent a pattern where the opacity of the Swiss banking system was exploited by those who had the most to hide. The estimated $21 billion in lost tax revenue annually for foreign governments due to Swiss banking secrecy only scratches the surface of the broader economic damage inflicted, particularly on developing nations. The Suisse Secrets leak in 2022, which exposed details of over 18,000 accounts held at Credit Suisse, further underscored this disturbing trend. The data, involving 30,000 clients, revealed accounts linked to individuals involved in human rights abuses, sanctioned individuals, and those implicated in trafficking and corruption. Shockingly, many of these accounts were opened well after 2000, a period when Swiss banks were supposedly cleaning up their act. The average account size in the leak was a staggering CHF 7.5 million, with nearly 200 accounts holding over CHF 100 million. This leak served as a stark reminder that despite reforms, the allure of Swiss secrecy for illicit funds remained potent, a continuing challenge to global efforts against financial crime. Faced with mounting international pressure, particularly from the United States following whistleblower Bradley Birkenfeld's revelations about UBS helping Americans evade taxes in 2007, Switzerland has been compelled to make some significant concessions regarding its famed banking secrecy. The most notable reform was the implementation of the OECD's Automatic Exchange of Information Initiative in 2017. Under this agreement, Swiss banks are now required to automatically share financial account information with the tax authorities of over 100 partner countries. This was a seismic shift, effectively puncturing the veil of secrecy for many clients, particularly those from developed nations who are signatories to the agreement. For these individuals, the days of easily hiding undeclared assets in Switzerland are largely over. However, these reforms, while impactful, are not a panacea. Significant gaps remain, particularly concerning developing countries. Many poorer nations are not yet part of comprehensive information sharing agreements with Switzerland, meaning their corrupt elites or wealthy tax evaders can still potentially exploit Swiss banking secrecy. The AEOI system relies on reciprocal agreements, and establishing the necessary infrastructure and legal frameworks for such exchanges can be a lengthy and complex process for less developed nations. This creates a two-tier system where transparency is enhanced for citizens of wealthy countries, but the old loopholes may persist for those from nations with less clout or fewer resources to pursue hidden assets. The Suisse Secrets leak in 2022 involving Credit Suisse served as a rather embarrassing exposé, highlighting that despite the AEOI and other reforms, significant problems persisted. The leak revealed that the bank had continued to serve clients involved in serious crimes and corruption long after these issues were supposed to have been addressed. Adding to this, the dramatic collapse and state-backed rescue of Credit Suisse in 2023, later detailed in a 2024 report, revealed a culture of secrecy and undocumented non-meetings among top officials, further tainting Switzerland's reputation. It indicated that old habits die hard, and the ingrained culture of discretion, even when detrimental, can be difficult to shake off completely, even at the highest levels. Indeed, internal resistance to dismantling banking secrecy fully remains a potent force within Switzerland. As recently as 2025, according to the brief's timeline projection, Swiss lawmakers reportedly blocked proposed legislation aimed at fully repealing certain banking secrecy provisions, particularly Article 47, which criminalizes the disclosure of client data. This indicates an ongoing tension between the desire to be a compliant international financial center and the powerful domestic lobby that wishes to preserve elements of the traditional secrecy model. While the absolute secrecy of old is gone, Switzerland continues to navigate a complex path, balancing international obligations with a deep-rooted and highly profitable legacy of financial confidentiality, ensuring its vaults, though perhaps more transparent, still hold a certain allure for global capital.